Hello. Welcome
Hello.
to the Tru Conscious Couple podcast. I am Tiffany Lancaster.
And I'm Brad Lancaster. We are a blended family. When we got together, I had 4 kids, Tiffany had 3, and we've had 1 together.
We're also a couple that runs a business together.
And so we talk about those things. We talk about our journey of self-discovery, of self-improvement.
We talk about the struggles of blended families. We talk about the struggles of business. And we talk about the struggles of doing inner work.
And we also talk about the joy, the peace, the love that comes along with all of that.
And what makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, so come along for the ride.
Hope you enjoy.
All right. Well, here we go. Next episode of Tru Conscious Couple. Welcome. And we are really excited to have Sam with us as we are getting close to wrapping up our series with our kids, Children of a Blended Family.
Yes. So Sam is Brad's youngest from his first marriage. We always say we have 3 babies.
Yeah, no, that's
3
real.
babies in the family. So Sam, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm,
Pull that right
oh,
up.
you want
So
right,
you're about like
breathing
a
into
fist
it.
away. Yeah,
Okay.
just like that.
Fancy.
If you don't, so you don't bend over.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can adjust the mic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very
We
cool.
spared no expense.
Yeah. Plus, you got Trenton working
Yeah.
it all out. So,
Got Trenton figuring everything out.
I'm Sam Lancaster. Like she said, I'm Brad's youngest. I'm 16. I don't know what else do I say. I go to Alta High School.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Got out to high school. What are you into? Like, what are your things? You know, I'm going to tell you, you might want to
Take
either
out the
spit out
gum.
your gum.
I literally
We'll pause
just
it
heard
right
it.
now.
The same thing.
We have a garbage can right over there.
We can edit that out.
You're good.
I'm good.
Got
Okay.
it. I swallow
Okay.
my gum all the time too.
Whoopsie.
Or maybe we won't edit it out because that is something I would
Let's
do.
Be real.
Let's be
Yeah,
real.
we don't need to edit anything.
So you go to Alta High School. What are you into? Like,
I don't know.
you're a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, I played football last year. I'm not playing football anymore, but I love football. I love most sports.
Been quite the ski bunny this winter season.
True. Yeah, skiing. That's a big one. And I don't know. I go to gym. I live.
You
I don't
like to
know.
work out.
Yeah.
You play ultimate frisbee.
Yep. That's a big one. That started up just like recently too. So yeah, that's fun.
That's great. Like Tiff said, Sam is the baby from my first marriage. Sam was not quite 3 years old when his mom and I got
Was I
divorced.
not? I thought I was like, oh no, you're right. Because I remember my mom talking about like you coming to my 3rd birthday party and that being a big deal because that was like the first time you guys had interacted since everything went down. She said that. I don't know how real that is, but
I believe it.
Yeah.
I'll be real. I don't remember that. That would have been on September 26th, 2009, and I was in a fog
World
at that
of
time.
hurt.
Yeah, yeah, I was. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I don't. Neither do I. Funny enough. So
Sam was such a cute kid. I think I met him right before he turned 3. I think the first time, right? Or was
4.
he 4? 4. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Right before he turned 4.
Yeah, because
Um,
you and I did not eat. Even though people like to speculate, we did not know each other when I was divorced.
True.
you
That is true.
had
When you were married, you mean?
you had somebody. I was listening to Gabe's again. Sorry, this is kind of
No, you're good.
But I was listening to Gabe's and you were talking about like the first time, like if Gabe remembered the first time I met you, and I was like, I don't think I do, but I remember meeting a different girl. Is that real?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a different girlfriend that you guys met one
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
didn't like her. She looked scary.
Yeah, that's what everybody said.
You were a lot less scary than she was.
That's good.
So
That's
It
good.
was also so quick when I introduced you guys. I mean, looking back at the time, I was like, man, it's been forever.
yeah,
But I think you guys met her probably in like,
You know, I've thought about this a lot, and I think it was the reason why you guys may not remember is because it was a more natural, like it was actually at Nana and Papa's house, I believe, that time we
I
took the
think same
kids
thing.
over.
Yeah,
yeah,
Those pictures we have of, I think it was Trenton and Sam playing with Legos and Javen and Gabe gaming, something like
something,
that.
yep.
something along those
I
lines.
think that was the first time that I met you guys.
this has I think that's right. And this has served with everybody else kind of as a open therapy session where we get to just talk about
Yeah,
like what it's been like and the pain, the struggle, the love, all of it. Like there's nothing that's off
Yeah.
limits. There's nothing that's required either.
For
Just
sure.
like so Sam is distinct because he, at least from everything you've told me, you have no recollection of
No.
like the life before your mom and I got divorced. That's something we explored with Abby, Gabe, Trenton,
The people that could remember.
everybody
Yeah.
else who could remember. You and Taylin have no memory
Mm-mm.
of anything before.
No.
So
And even like, I don't know. I've thought about that too, because like with other like Italy, who's not, they don't know who that is, but like she's blocked out so much of it too. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, dude, I really don't remember anything until like 3rd or 4th grade. Like everything like younger than that is just like completely walled off. And like, I mean, I can remember bits and pieces or good memories or whatever, but like not like anything other than that. You know what I mean?
I think
Well-
it's pretty rare for kids to remember much before that anyway.
Yeah.
I lost my dad when I was 7, and honestly, I think I have 3 or 4 memories
Yeah.
of my dad.
Okay.
So, which I really cling to because,
Sure.
because of I lost him. One of the things
well, the
I
other
remember,
thing is, if I can interrupt you, sweetheart, sorry, but I wanted to point this out that it's not uncommon, especially for children that experience high levels of trauma
Yeah.
to have a lot
Well,
of
that-
blackout
yeah.
because I have a ton of memories from the time I was like 4 until I was like from 4 years old, 5 years old. I have lots of memories.
Yeah.
Interestingly
Interesting.
No.
enough. Yeah.
it could have been that I lost my dad and that caused trauma too. So I only have a couple core memories that I really
Yeah.
remember. Who knows? But
I think it's a survival technique.
Yeah.
It's a psychological survival technique where we block out
For sure.
things where there's pain and say, well, I'm not going to remember. I'm just not going to remember that part of life, even the good that was there, because there was obviously good stuff too.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the darkness, the pain is so overwhelming that it just kind of blocks
You
out.
don't want to think about it. You just,
You don't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
But what happens as you age, you start getting these, and you've even talked about it, Tiff, like having these like flickers of memories that come back, right?
Yeah.
Even if there's only 3 or 4 of them, and then they build on other things.
yeah.
And so that gives an opportunity. That's where healing and opportunities for healing really, really exist.
Sure.
As
yeah,
those come up.
because I mean, that time before you're 7 years old, a lot of your outlook on life is designed and created during that time before you're 7. They say basically your entire outlook on life is pretty much formed by the time you're 7 years old.
That's actually crazy. That's such a young age to be doing that.
Yeah,
That's
because
wild.
you figure out like, oh, I do this thing and I get this reaction from my environment around me. So this
Sure.
must equal this, right? That's like the way your brain computes. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and this is coming from like we're entrepreneurs, salespeople. We're definitely not childhood development experts, but we've raised kids, and so we've seen like
Yeah.
you can see where a personality, like it's there
Yeah.
from a young age. Yours as well, like your personality. Anyway,
Well, Joe Dispenza talks a lot about that in talking about rewiring the way your brain works, that it's almost fully developed and your world is
By the time
produced
you're
by the
7.
time you're
Yeah.
7 years
Wild.
old. Yeah.
I was gonna. I brought up Italy because like on that same like blocking out type thing. Like Italy's parents got divorced later than anybody else, and she can't remember anything up until like 7th grade,
Really?
which is like crazy. Like that's like older. Like she even like 5th and 6th grade, where like most people have memories by then. I do. I know I do. Like she just doesn't. It's just walled,
Yeah.
and that's crazy to me.
Well,
Like,
some of your siblings they talked about the same thing. Like they blacked out. Like I think
Yeah.
Gabe said that
Mhm.
he just blacked out a lot from his childhood.
that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was around the same age that
Yeah.
Italy is. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Very interesting.
so you grew up in what most people call a broken home, right? Your mom and dad were divorced. When you were young, your mom moved, and you lived primarily with your mom. You came
Yeah.
out every other weekend with
Still.
me, and I would I would come and get you on a weeknight to either Tuesday or Thursday night, depending on what worked best for the schedules. So let's talk about that then. Like growing up in this quote unquote broken home. What were some of the challenges? What are some of your earliest thoughts? When did you realize it was something different as well?
That's a good question. Yeah, because that really is like the big thing. I was about to say, like, I didn't even really know anything different than just my dad lives here, my mom lives here. Like it's not anything, and they both are doing their own things. They're not correlated with each other at all. And so I think that like I always kind of knew that was a thing, but it didn't really click until I started seeing you and you guys get together and being like, oh wait, and then going over to friend's house or whatever. I don't know which friend or when that was exactly,
Yeah.
but going over to friend's house and seeing, that his mom is stay at home and then his dad would come home and they whatever, and just seeing that, I don't know. I don't want to say normal, but
Typical.
typical
Yeah.
Right.
environment that all my other friends would be in, and being like, oh, whoa. And so that thought was always in my mind. Like, yeah, my parents are divorced. That's not typical. But then I don't think it really clicked until I started being more social, and until my mom met Fred, who's my stepdad now, and you guys started becoming a thing. I don't really think that clicked until then.
Okay.
So
Was there what were your thoughts about that? What were your feelings about that? How did
I
that?
would obviously be jealous. I
Yeah.
remember for sure, especially just at my mom, because there was a long time where I just felt like my mom was never home, which obviously she was home as much as she could be. That's not anything. She's a single mom doing her thing. But I remember thinking just why can't I have that? And it's crazy. I still can picture it because I have this either memory or total made up thing that I've created of you coming home to that house, the old house. This and one other memory are the only memories I have of that old house. And you walking in through the garage door or whatever, and everybody, me, Gabe, Abby, and Rach were all in the living room, and all ran up to you and hugged you, taking turns, whatever, and just jumping on you, whatever,
Mm.
doing whatever. And I remember going to sleep and thinking about that some nights and being like, man, why can't I just
Mm.
have that? You know what I mean? It's so much harder, especially. Am I doing something?
No, that we've got some feedback going on, or
Um,
some a wire.
but I remember shoot, I do that way too often, lose my train of thought. But just
Going to sleep. You were saying you were
yeah,
going to
yeah,
sleep, and
going to sleep and just thinking especially on nights or days where you guys would have drama, or I wouldn't come out for a Tuesday or a Thursday, like you said, just for whatever reason, and thinking man, why does this even have to be a thing? What,
Mm.
I just didn't really understand why I had to go through that, and kind of that same or not same, but victim mindset of why me? I would
Mm.
ask that question a lot, or why us? What what's that all
Yeah,
about?
like
You know
why
what I
were
mean?
you having to
Yeah.
experience this challenge
And then
and
I
why
go
couldn't it be
and
easier?
yeah, and then I go and hang out with my friends, and they're all, they just seem to live in this little Sandy, Utah bubble where everybody's Mormon and big families, and the couples are happier, what at least seems to be happy, with the stay-at-home mom, and you just live your normal life every day to day, and I just didn't have that same typical thing, and so I
Mm.
would definitely get upset about it, or at least I don't know, jealous or envy
Yeah.
that almost.
Yeah.
So
I remember being really worried about you because for a long time there was a lot of confrontation and conflict, and just it was just so hard for so long, like the relationship between your parents, you
yeah,
know. And I remember having so many conversations with your dad of I don't know if Sam has any memories of you and his mom just being cordial with each other, just talking and having a conversation.
no,
And
I really don't. Other than recently, which is weird. I think the first time that really was I saw you guys talking with each other, and not in a trying to send you to jail way was was at my basketball tournament a year or two ago, and I walked out of the bathroom and I saw both of you guys talking with each other, and I was just like, did I just enter
What's
a new
going on
was
here?
there a portal in that bathroom? I don't know what's going on, but this is not my life. Is funny, but no, I don't really think I did have any of those memories.
How
What-
did you feel like seeing your mom and dad talk to each other?
It was
Like,
awesome.
Yeah.
I remember being a little like shocked and kind of worried at first because I step out and see them talking, and I was like, "What are they talking about?" Right? But then I came up and you guys were both smiling and whatever, and I was like, "That was awesome! Like that is so much progress." You know what I mean? And just like even being able to do that or anything like that, just not trying to rip each other's heads off is just like was pretty great. And I remember talking to you as we were walking out because it was your weekend or whatever it was, and I was like, "So what happened? What are you?" And you were just like, "She came up to me. I don't know," but it
Yeah.
was
Yeah, that was a surprise for me as well because
Yeah.
I'm
For
barred
Claire-
from contacting her.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh yeah, and that was literally that was after jail time and everything, and so there was like that was illegal. So
Well, I don't know if it was illegal or not. We'd have to leave that up to the courts. But,
Good point. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but
No, it's totally fine.
It's totally
It's-
fine.
I
I'm just
mean,
messing.
it's been so long and it is what it is, but that has been your dad's hesitation with having any contact with
Yeah.
her. Obviously, it's been yeah.
it's a
It's
no
been a
contact
thing.
order. is
Not
what it's
yeah,
called.
yeah, yeah.
It's not a
Restraining or
restraining
anything
order.
like that.
Yeah, so I don't reach out to her. I don't make contact with her.
Yeah.
She
However,
Go
it's
ahead.
been beautiful because there has been a lot of healing that's happened through Gabe and Rachel getting married,
So
We've
much.
made
So much.
some huge steps,
It's
and
been
then
so awesome.
I really wanted you to talk about your 16th birthday.
That was really cool. That just so to explain. I was turned 16 this like a half a year ago, not long ago.
last September.
And that was that right before both weddings or was it in between?
In between.
In between them.
Gabe's
And so
Rachel's.
there had been one wedding, and so you guys had kind of already like gotten along or whatever. And they threw a surprise birthday party for me. I don't know who organized everything. Probably a bit of
I think
both,
your
but-
mom.
Yeah, it was
mostly your
mostly
mom.
your mom.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
She called me and she actually called and asked if I wanted to help her plan. And then she got a little like stressed out and was like, I feel like you're trying to control things. It was really healthy the way she handled
Really?
it. Was like, I think you're, because I was like, oh, I was having all these ideas and got really
Sure,
excited
because
about
you
it.
love party planning.
Yeah, because I was like, this is my thing.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, like let's do
Sure.
it. And then she was like, okay, I feel like you're like starting to take things over, and now I just want to plan it and have you guys come. And I was like, okay,
All right.
let's do it. Like
Which
that's
is
fine.
also very cool of you. That was just a very cool experience for like both of you guys handled that really well.
Yeah, that was
um,
good.
But yeah, and my sister Rachel told me to come and celebrate with them because it wasn't actually on my birthday. It was like
A couple days
a
before.
couple days before, maybe even
Mm.
almost a week before.
Yeah.
But she said because she was going out of town for my actual birthday, she was like, "Hey, can we? I'll go take a shot. Like go to the mall, whatever. We can go mess around and just
Did you
celebrate
say take
your
a
birthday."
shot?
No, I said
Shopping. She was going to say.
I was
Okay.
gonna
take a
say shopping, but
Okay,
that's
okay.
not really what we
I
were
was like, you
doing.
guys were going to take shots.
Yeah,
What?
go to the bars. 16 now, so basically an adult. No, but and she got me really good because I got in the car with them, and or maybe it was just her. I can't remember, but I got in the car and I was like, I was thinking maybe you were just distracting me, and then you were gonna drop me back off at mom's or something like that. And she was like, why would like she played it off so well because I was totally onto it. And then she totally, I can't remember exactly what she said, but she totally got me
Downplayed
away
it.
from it. Yeah. And then even Italy too, who we've talked about. So now
Italy
Your
is
sister-in-law.
Yeah.
is
it's not
Rachel's husband's
Rachel's
sister.
Yeah.
So
Whatever that makes her.
she's just a year younger
She's
than
like
me.
family.
Yeah. I talk to her so much. She goes to Alta with me. And so So, but at school, I remember one day after she said something about going to Boondocks. Like she wanted to go to Boondocks when we hung out, and I was like, okay, like that's kind of random, but I guess Boondocks is cool. So, and then we went to the mall and hung out for a little bit, and then they were like, all right, let's go do go-karts at Boondocks or laser tag or whatever, and we pulled up and everybody was there, my whole family, both sides of the family, and I think that's the only party anybody out of me, Gabe, Rachel, and Abby have had that had everybody, or at least birthday party.
Yeah. Since your parents got divorced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that had every sibling. And that's including because I have other step siblings from my mom's remarriage that they were there too.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Like
It
just to
was
have
so cool.
everybody. And it wasn't like there was any tension or like any,
It wasn't
we're going to
forced.
sit over here. We're going to sit on this side of the
No.
table. Everybody was just chill.
Because I
There to-
remember when Abby got her calling for her mission, like that was different.
Yeah.
Like we showed up, but we literally sat out in the car
Yeah.
and we're like, okay, we'll sit out
Yeah,
here so we can be
we
here,
weren't
but
allowed
we're
in the
not.
house.
And it was
which
like,
is, yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
but this was so different. It was like,
Part of that was probably Abby's decision at that time.
I don't know.
Or-
I don't know, but
yeah,
it's just
whatever.
where we were at. And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blame
No,
anybody.
no.
It's that thing, like you were saying, like how far
Just
we've
the
come.
stark
It's a
so
good-
awesome.
Well, and like we would show up like right after when Tiff and I were together, we'd show up to football games or basketball
Yeah.
games, and we'd be on one side of the court, and your
Yeah.
mom and her family
Yeah.
would be on the other side of the
Just
court.
about
Like,
as far as you could be
we
from each
were
other.
we were not united.
Which is
and
okay. Like I was never upset about that.
It was
It
what
was
was
never.
needed at
Yeah,
the
it was
time.
what it is. What
It's
it
just where
is.
we were.
So, that was never a bad thing. But to see that become a real thing and just have everybody there and put their differences aside and come to my birthday party was pretty awesome. And then even on like laser tag, we went and played laser tag and had pick teams and everybody was split up and
Yeah.
whatever. And it was just fun.
that was like a really cool moment for me because we used to take you guys to play laser tag all the time when
Yeah.
you guys were little. That
Yep.
used to be a pretty
Oh, it was
regular
my favorite.
activity. Yeah. And to be there, even in that location, like, I don't know, it was just so cool because we had done that with you guys when we were little, and now we were doing that with like your whole family.
Yeah,
It was really cool.
that is cool.
I think there were like 20. There were probably
I have
20 people or so there.
16. There was 16 because there I have, right? Let me think. Because
Did you count Italy?
Maybe
No,
17.
I didn't.
Yeah, 17. Yeah, there was a lot of us.
more of the
And that-
story.
yeah.
Tons. And I didn't. Oh yeah, because that number isn't right. Because I usually just count. Because I usually count 14 as like all of my siblings and then parents. But then Indy was there, John there,
Mhm.
Italy
yeah.
there. So then 17. Or Taylor too. So maybe 18.
Yeah, there was a lot of us.
There. More of the story. Our family is big.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Super cool.
that's really cool. I was curious because how much I want to go back to this thing you were dealing with as a child because this is some of the first time I've heard some of these thoughts
Really?
that
Yeah.
you've had. Yeah, just because I've never really talked to you about it.
Yeah.
So you realized you were in a different situation, fairly young, and then to hear you tell the story about like seeing this vision of me coming home and using that as a vision to
Yeah.
go to sleep, like that's amazing.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't like, and I don't really know if I would say like not to, you
No,
know,
no, go ahead. This is a
but
conversation.
but like I don't know if it was really like maybe subconsciously it was, but I don't think when I was thinking about the memory that I was like trying to calm myself down or go to sleep. It just kind of came up because that's what I naturally do. I do that still, just like start overthinking about everything when I start going to sleep, and so I think it was more of just like, but just I don't really know what it was because sometimes I would think about it and like start crying in my bed and like get
Just get
upset
sad.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my mom would come in and I'd tell her about it and she'd be like not like mad, but kind of just like, I don't know. Obviously there's different ways of handling everything. And so her seeing me that sad or that upset about something that worked up would, she would,
Probably trigger her.
yeah, trigger her a little bit. And so she would kind of be like, well, why are you like, that's probably never even happened. Like, and like, not like in like a mean way. I'm saying this mean, um, but kind of just like, dismissing it almost as like, yeah, like she would be supportive, obviously. She's not a mean person, but she would be like that sucks. Like, I know, I'm sorry, it's not ideal, but then would also go on to be like, well, but like, why are you even thinking about that? Like, what? Like,
Yeah. It's hard to know how to support your kids in certain things that you
yeah,
really don't have a lot of control over,
yeah.
you know?
And
And
obviously,
so,
I was really young when that happened, and so I don't know whatever exactly she said or the way she said it, but that's what I remember.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that's really, when it comes to healing, um, when it comes to especially emotional healing, at some point there comes this time where you realize, okay, that might not have been what
yeah,
was said, but that's what I heard. And so you can move past blaming somebody for whoever it is, right?
yeah,
And saying, okay, that's not necessarily what was said and what was intended to hurt me, but what I heard hurt,
yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah,
And so you can move through blame. But it's okay to, at some point, like for everybody, especially kids of divorce, it's okay. And you need to know this from a permission standpoint. You have permission to be angry at your parents.
yeah.
It's okay at some point to say, wow, that was pretty shitty what I had to go through. And
But
you could have
yeah,
done better. Like legitimately, it's
yeah.
okay.
I don't know if I would say that about many things, but
Right. But I'm telling you, at some point, there's healing in it. Because then you can say, you should have done better, but you didn't because you did the best you could.
yeah. And
And,
there's not anything you can do about it now. So why?
well, let me, what it becomes is this discussion of what we call duality, where there can be two sides to a coin, but it's the same coin, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about finding right or wrong. Like what's right,
Yeah.
the head or the tails? Well, neither.
It's just
they both
different.
exist, right? So, yeah, it's different, and it's just really perspective. Like,
Yep.
which side of the coin are you seeing at that time? So, is that a decent description of what duality is, Tiff?
yeah, I
That
mean,
seems, yeah.
yeah, I think I'm just thinking a lot about, I went on a women's retreat this weekend and it was all focused on healing mother wounds and
Oh,
not just mother, like a lot of like just the mistakes our parents made, that there's always some underlying like trauma that we experience because of our parents and nobody's immune to it. Like everybody has it, right?
yeah.
Everybody took on these limiting beliefs because they were their parents' limiting beliefs. And just the amount of I'm so grateful for the situation and for your mom because this whole situation has allowed me to go even deeper into like an understanding of what compassion really means, you know?
Yeah.
And everybody, when we can start to extend compassion to everybody in the situation, and in order to do that, you really have to put yourself in their shoes. And like if you were given the same situation that they were given, you most likely would have made the same exact choice.
That's like what we were talked about. I don't know if you guys remember in St. George.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That same, if you were them, like if you were in that same situation and then you were them, you would have done the same thing. Like it's not,
Right.
which is interesting. I still think about that a lot, just that same principle.
Yeah.
But it's true,
It's
regardless of
the idea that we're
how
always doing the best
legitimate.
we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
It's a beautiful thing. Well, I love. I had forgotten that we'd had that discussion.
I think about it all the time. Just because I don't know. I still think that the argument, what is it exactly that you say?
Well, what I say is, there's really no sense in judging somebody else's reactions
Yeah.
to anything at the end of the day, because that person, if you
Or just
believe,
actions.
or
not
actions,
even-
yeah, not even reactions, that person is literally doing the best they can. Because as humans, that's how we're programmed.
Yeah.
We're programmed to survive, and to like preserve energy. And so we want to and conserve this ability to survive. So it's in our nature to make a selfish decision all the time. Like, what's best for me in this situation? And so as we go along, humans only have the ability to make the decision that they have in front of them. And when somebody makes that decision, it's literally the best decision given their knowledge, given their trust in themselves, given their neuro programming, like their neurological programming, given their strength, like emotional character strength, given their physical abilities at the time. Like it's like watching a basketball game and somebody misses a shot and you're like, how could he miss that? Well, he missed it because either he was fatigued or he was a little stressed or a fan yelled at him the right
That's a
thing.
really good analogy, because you see those other NBA players and they're not missing in practice.
Right.
Like if they're open or just, chilling, they don't miss.
Right. But then you see them in a game and you're like, whoa, he missed.
And if somebody shoots over 50% from the field, like that's
they're
insane.
amazing, right?
So like,
so somebody that in the moment, like when it's clutch time and the game's coming down, why is it that you want Michael Jordan to have the ball rather than, like, I don't know,
anybody else?
Yeah, anybody else in the world ever, except maybe Steph.
Dame
is pretty clutch. Like some of those, like
Sure.
Kobe was a game killer. Some of those guys, or well, like in his era, why would you want Michael Jordan instead of Karl Malone? Because Michael Jordan, you knew
because Karl Malone shoots better from the field. He's got a higher percentage,
Right,
so why would
but
you not want?
they're both going to do their best.
Yeah.
It's just one of them is better than the other.
Yeah.
So humans do the same thing. We do our best. I mean, well, those are humans, although they're special humans.
Yeah.
In our interactions with each other, we do the same thing. Like, have you ever, like, especially like in arguments, we see it all the time. People do things and you're like, wow, that was mean, which it might have been.
Yeah.
And they may have thought, I'm going to hurt you right now. And while that's not a kind thing to do, it was literally the best they could do at the moment.
Because of whatever has gone
everything
in
else
their
that
life.
led them up.
They weren't able to not react with anger.
Yeah. And it's not to say that they didn't have any agency.
Or a choice or
Right, or
anything
a
like
choice.
that. Because you can still make different choices. That's not.
Yes.
It's
But in that moment, with all the choices laid out, the one they made was the best one. They were capable,
It was
able.
the
and
path
they
of
thought
least
in that
resistance.
exact moment that would be, or maybe not the best, because sometimes, right, you just react like in
Mhm.
different reactions that you're not really thinking this is the best thing I can do, but it's what you do because of whatever your brain is telling you that you should do.
Sometimes you're
Right.
just going with the path of least resistance, whatever is
Yeah.
the easiest, because you don't have the strength or whatever, you may need to choose a different path.
Yeah.
So
And at the end of the day, so when we're looking at other people, this is how I find compassion. At the end of the day, that person that you're looking at, especially if you're dealing with an adult, like that adult that you see was one day a baby that was held by a mother or father, or maybe they were placed in foster care, who knows, whatever. But at some point they were held, they were loved. And all of life, all of their decisions brought them to this moment. And it might be that moment is while you're speeding down the highway and they pull out in front of you and then give you a dirty look.
Yeah.
Like, that was literally the best they could do.
Yeah.
And so instead of like getting angry at them and thinking, how could you? Oh, I'll show you, which, by the way, I've had that thought. In fact, I had that thought on the way here. And it was this thinking that that person literally was doing the best they could that got me to, okay, then there's nothing to be angry about.
And I think
Yeah.
the big thing with that is like saying the best they could is really where I get stuck because you have to understand that they're not doing the best they could do out of everything. They're doing the best that they could do out of what they were given.
Yes.
That's
That's
exactly
the
right.
big difference. That's what like, and because I've thought about it more, that like kind of clicked. But like in that moment when they like, if we're using that same scenario that they cut you off or whatever, they didn't have the choice to do better because it wasn't there. Like a big saying is hindsight is 20/20, and it's real because if you try to think about this in a hindsight perspective of like, well, in that situation, I could have chose better. Yes, but not if you were in that situation.
Exactly.
Right.
Given
Which
the
is so
exactly
weird.
right.
It's
Yeah.
so weird because
Yeah.
it's so hard to like, I don't know, kind of wrap my head around that, like you literally could not have, but it's true because you like it. If you had the information that you did now, of course, right, then everybody would be a perfect human. But because of everything you were doing in that moment, like if you laid out all of your choices in that moment and said pick a card, that was the best card that you could have chosen.
Right.
But then after the moment, there's this whole new deck of cards, and all of those cards might be better than the one you chose, but you
Right.
didn't have that deck.
Right.
That's exactly right.
It's a great way to think about it and
Yeah.
great way to frame it.
Yeah. And so what does that, like, instinctively, when it comes to judging somebody else's reactions or actions, what does it give you for them? For me, it gives compassion.
Yeah.
Like, I think, oh man, because all you have to do is think of your own life.
Yeah.
When have I had other options, but I didn't take the one that in hindsight
Was the best.
could have taken me on a different
Yeah.
road?
Well, I want to get back to Sam
Oh.
if that's okay.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
yeah,
So-
that's fair. That's real. I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So some of the questions that we asked the other kids, I guess the first one, like what was the hardest thing about growing up with divorced parents, blended families? Like, what do you think the hardest part of that was?
I don't know. That's a hard thing to think of, right? On the spot. The hardest thing for me was probably just the feeling of, and I still get it at my mom's house, but just the feeling of like kind of loneliness, because I think from my spot, I was the baby in that family, and so when I would go to that house, it would be like obviously in their best interest to like, or even in mine, to just like kind of keep me out of it because I'm younger and just like, Sam's just gonna do his own thing. Sam's just gonna be happy little kid. Sam's just gonna do all that. But then I would see everybody else in my family talking about these things and going through these things and being sad about these things. And I'm like, what are you even sad about? What is going on? And I didn't really, I guess loneliness isn't the right word, but I'm trying to explain it.
You were kind
That,
of
like,
left out of a lot of what was
Yeah.
happening.
in my own thing. And in some ways that was good for me. Obviously, I'm just a kid. You don't want to, just bring
Burden
them
a
all.
5-year-old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But then when I would start to get older and kind of see everybody else being sad, and I would try, because for my own, me being me, I try to help naturally. I think most people would try to, help people that they love go through this stuff, and I just couldn't really help them go through it because I wasn't as involved in it.
Right.
So I don't know if that would be the hardest, but that just came to my
Well, that was
mind.
what came
Yeah.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Valid.
I don't know. There's a lot of challenges with it, and obviously blending families is not easy. But I was thinking about it, and like Gabe was talking about his challenges with Trenton and everything like that. But I really didn't like butt heads with anybody too much. I was clicked with Javen immediately day
Yeah.
one, and
Yeah.
so that wasn't ever an issue. And Taylin and Junior would get on my nerves, but Junior didn't come around until later, and I kind of always, he's just Junior. You love the little guy. Taylin would bother me sometimes, but we didn't really, you know, have to share anything or anything like that. And same with Trenton. The only times I would be annoyed with Trenton is because Trenton was annoying Javen, and I'd be like, "Yeah, that's my dog. What are you? What are you?" Because
It is so cute. Like when I was pulling up pictures for our 10-year vow renewal, I was just looking at all of the pictures, like before when we were both married to our first spouses, and then when after we got together, I was just trying to gather a bunch of pictures for the activity
yeah,
that we did. So the listeners know I called it Memory Grove, and I strung clothesline through the trees. We renewed
it
our
was so
vows
cool.
because the kids weren't able to come to our wedding. Brad's kids weren't able to come. So we did a 10-year vow renewal at a cabin on a lake. And anyway, I was going through all of the pictures, just trying to find a bunch of pictures that I could print off. And almost every single picture that had both Sam and Javen in it, you guys had your arms around each other. Like almost every single picture. It was the cutest thing. I
Makes
loved
sense.
it.
Yeah, and that thing that you just said, it was a cool part of you and Javen's existence. Whenever you were over, if Trenton did mess with Javen, he was getting you and Javen.
Yeah, we're a package deal.
Yeah.
And obviously that changed eventually, but
Right.
because
Yeah.
and I was gonna say like, and even when like because obviously now I have good relationship with Trenton and Taylor and Junior, like awesome relationships, and I don't really think that was ever like, it's not like we ever really had a bad relationship.
It
I would
kind of was
think
just like normal sibling stuff in a
yeah,
way.
yeah,
Like,
because it was to me.
yeah.
I didn't have like this. I mean, well, for my own thinking, from my own thing, like experience, that I didn't have. Because what I'm trying to say is, I was being told they weren't my siblings. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And Gabe talked about that in his too. Is that they were like, people would say, I don't remember who would, or even if I was told, but that there was another voice in my head saying, "Well, they're not your real siblings. They
So
don't.
there was
Yeah.
like a feeling.
There's not.
Yeah.
They're not your blood siblings. They're your blood. Like your siblings are Gabe, Rach, and Abby. What are those are just friends almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that really wasn't how I felt. Like, I'm trying to think of another way, like a comparison to it, but I really
Well,
can't,
I
because it
see.
really, I was just like, they were my family.
Yeah.
They were my family every other weekend, and when I wasn't out there, then sure, whatever, they're just my step siblings. But when I was out there, they were my family, and I didn't really ever have that barrier because I was so young, and that's all I knew of. These aren't my siblings. It was just, these are my siblings every other weekend.
It's been beautiful to watch, like your relationship with Taylin, because
Yeah,
when there was there's different stages of like being a kid, right?
for sure.
And as you started becoming a teenager and Taylin was still a little kid, it was almost like she was trying to be the annoying little sister
For
all the
sure.
time,
For
right?
sure. That was
And
probably the
when
most I ever butted heads with a step sibling, is because when I was like, just like you said, just getting like, I don't know, 14, 13-ish area, becoming, more mature, whatever, being a teenager, and Taylin was just right under that, and still, I guess, kind of is, but she's gotten there
yeah.
to the extent that I was, and she would annoy me for sure.
Well, I can remember us like being like, what do we do? Like they fight so much.
Well, yeah, she would piss me off. She would intentionally do stuff, and then unintentionally for sure. But
Yeah.
that's what you do as a little sibling. I would do that with my older siblings.
But
You just go and annoy them.
now
Like,
you
it's
guys
fun.
have a really like healthy relationship. So it
Yeah.
just goes to show that like, I don't know, you worry about like your kids that fight and with
And
the other siblings,
I
but
think
then
that's for all families too.
yeah, yeah,
I did the same thing with Rachel, except I
right.
was Taylin.
Yes.
I was the annoying little sibling, and Rachel did not like me. Me and Rachel, I think that's probably the worst relationship I've ever had with a sibling, was probably with Rachel, which is
Yeah.
crazy to think.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we see a lot of because we remember that too. Like I
yeah.
remember your dad having so many conversations with Rachel that now it's funny because we have the same conversations with Taylin about Junior. So it's like we're
That's
going
very
through it
true.
again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
but
funny.
guess what? They're gonna be best friends, and they
Yeah.
still are.
Yeah.
But
But it's been super cool to see even just over the last like year, you and Taylin's relationship just like
Yeah.
evolving.
Yeah.
And you guys are a lot closer than
It's
I
just
think you ever
different.
have.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. And Trenton too. I think
Yeah.
both of them. I don't think I've been closer with either of them than I am now.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, that's a hard thing though that a lot of kids deal with is
Yeah.
this idea that
They're not my sibling.
they're not my siblings.
For sure. For sure. And I did get that and because I've went through 2 blended families, I can say that I did get that feeling with my mom's remarriage with their names are Drake and Callie, both older than me. And I totally did. I mean, I kind of still had that same click with Drake because he's the same age as Javen, same grade.
Right.
And they're very, very completely different people, but I, still just homies. But then later, I totally did butt heads with Drake a ton, and so I definitely did get that same feeling there, of they're not my siblings. And if I'm being completely honest, like it still happens, just because it's newer, and I haven't had the opportunity as much to be as close with Drake and Kylie, but I've gotten a lot closer with them, especially Callie in the past couple of years, and that feeling is going away. So I don't really know what to say to kids who are experienced in that, like other than kind of just fill it out. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
like let it ride for a little bit, see what it is, and if you're not trying to force anything, I think that's probably a big thing with like kids and some parents too. They try to force relationships and like make it go quicker because it's annoying or whatever, but it's just not going to work and it's going to end up hurting you in the long run.
Yeah. We heard recently actually we were at an event where there was a relationship speaker there and he talked about we actually brought up blended families
Cool.
at this conference, and he said that it takes 7 years to blend a family.
That's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah. So it was just this kind of this aha moment for me because number
Yeah.
one, that when I think about, because at first our attitude about it was we're going to do things as a family, not necessarily force things, but we're going to have activities as a family, just provide opportunities for us to all have fun together. Because the idea is we're going to create
Yeah, yeah.
memories together. And and it kind of was just like everybody was there, everybody did their own thing. You guys obviously had opportunities to kind of talk and
For
like
sure.
get to know each other, but it wasn't this feeling of like, yes, this is my brother, or yes, this is my sister, or these are my siblings. It probably was right around year 7 when you guys really were like, yeah, these are my siblings.
Sure.
So it makes sense.
Well, that's a good point too, what you said, Sam. Like, don't force it.
Yeah.
So big. So
Yeah.
big. Because that's just not, it's just not going to work. Like, I don't know. That's like being the kid in class who walks up to somebody and say, you want to be my friend? Like
Right.
obviously, sure, you can be friends, but that like, I don't know. It's not going to be anything legitimate or close. And I think you just kind of have to let it go because you're not going to like if you don't have something in common or anything like like even Trenton and me, the real big thing that like connected us in the first place and like started our relationship was music. And I hadn't even found like how much I love music until what, 6th grade, 5th grade?
Right.
And so that what was there to build on? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
Right. There was no common ground.
no.
At
And so
first.
what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to tell 2 kids who just
Don't have a lot in
don't
common.
like
Hey,
aren't
you guys
going to
gotta
be friends
buddies.
to be friends?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just not, it's not going to work. But
Yeah.
something will eventually, and if it doesn't,
If you're consistent
then
with it.
yeah. If you put in effort, it's not like you just wait around and then boom, now we're best friends.
Right.
You gotta still work for it. But
Here's something that Tiff and I were we were being conscious about it. Like we had a plan, but and the biggest plan was what Tiff said when we had you guys together. We were going to do things.
yeah,
Like we were gonna intentionally, like the laser tag, going to the park. Like we did lots of games
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
parks, right?
because what kid doesn't like running around in a park?
Yeah. we did get you and Javen a bedroom together.
That was
But that was also just because
it worked.
it worked, and
We had 8 kids.
we had
Yeah,
8 kids, or
because you could, and me and Javen wouldn't.
7
have a
kids on
problem
one
with it.
weekend.
I remember being excited about that actually when we
Yeah?
first moved into that the
house in Overlake?
Canadians house.
Uh-huh.
No,
Oh, yeah.
The one
because
in,
the Overlake one I didn't share with Javen.
oh, that's right, you
I
shared,
shared
it
with Rach
Gabe.
and Gabe. We
Yeah, that's
all
right.
were in
one
one
room together.
because they had the bunks, and then I had
Mm-hmm.
the bed that used to be Junior's. I don't know where that bed is now.
Sold it.
Makes sense. But yeah, we moved into the old Canadians house, and you guys said that I would be sharing a room with Javen, and I was like, yo, we're gonna stay up so late playing PS4.
This is a party every weekend at
No,
Dad's.
and we would
I
every
remember.
time
And then
playing
they
Mortal
told us,
Kombat.
the Canadians told us that was the room that was
Yeah,
haunted.
The
in
Canadians
that
have a
house.
name.
That's-
They're the Latfords.
Yes. Well, we're calling them the
That works.
Canadians. They're happy with that too.
They are happy with that. Yeah. Yeah. And so
It's not personal. It's not personal. I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to call it.
What?
I was just
no, that's funny.
They know we love them.
yeah.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
We also we would do like camping trips and vacations, little vacations, big vacations, and you guys just had a lot of time to play together.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the keys. Like, and if you think about it as a parent, like giving your kid opportunities to play should be a priority anyways. And when you're blending a family, playtime can't be overstated, right?
For sure. Yeah. Just having fun
Yeah.
in general. Just
Like, it doesn't have to be all serious. And we
No.
didn't do a lot of that, like, especially with you and Javen. Like,
Sure.
we didn't sit down and say, okay, let's talk about how you guys are going to
Okay.
become good friends.
So it just reminded me. He said, "Okay, we're gonna talk about
We're going to talk
being
about how you guys can be
okay?"
friends. Okay. It's important for stepbrothers to be friends. Okay.
Okay. Anyways,
Yeah.
well, what was the? So I have to ask because I don't like feeling like we're sitting out here being like, yeah, we do everything right because
no.
because we don't do everything right, and it's been a learning curve for us as well. So, what advice would you give us? What could we have done better?
Huh.
Or somebody who's like in our situation. If
Yeah.
you don't want to,
Yeah.
like, if you don't want to feel like
Um,
you're talking shit on us, just like what?
No, I do. That sounds fun.
Parents-
Let's
parents,
do it.
parents who are blending kids and have young kids, what are some of the things they can do? Like,
Better,
yeah, better.
just
Yeah.
efficiently.
Yeah.
Shoot, that's hard. It is hard to think about just like little things like that because I really do think a lot of what you guys did was pretty good, and you put a lot of thought and effort into it. I keep moving away from the mic because that's getting tangled and it's bothering me.
You're doing great.
But I don't know, cause I really like. I was gonna say this later, but I really think like at this point in my life, like I've thought about it, and like I think the pros of our blended family and like how cool our family is now outweigh the cons. Like I think our family is way cooler than a bubble Orthodox family. Like I'm so happy about it. Like I've literally thought about that and been like, dude, like the pros outweigh the cons. Like I've told people my parents are divorced or whatever, and they've been like, oh, and I'm like, no, it's sick. Like I got 2 families. It's dope.
That's awesome, actually.
You get
So it's
you
kinda
get 2
hard to-
birthday parties
Yeah.
most of the time. This year
Yeah.
you got one.
Go to
You get
St.
2
George.
2
Yeah,
Christmases.
it's just,
You get vacations from each family.
and then just a bunch of dope siblings and family members. What's so bad about that? And the best part is I can have all the dope siblings and family members without having to live with all of them and get all crowded
All the time.
all the time.
Right.
Because I just, but I don't know. It's hard.
I was just
the-
thinking about. Oh, sorry. I don't want.
No, I don't know what I'm gonna say right now, so you're good.
You just saying I don't have to live with them reminded me of the RV trip that we decided to do with
That
all of you
was-
guys.
That was pretty wild. That was pretty sick.
It was
but-
fun, but like made me realize we could never live in an RV or a tiny home with that many kids.
Oh, no way.
It
We
was
ran
good
it, just
times,
so
though.
you guys that are listening, what we did, this was a few spring breaks ago. probably
2019,
yeah, I was going to guess it
2018.
was 2018 or 2019.
Yeah.
We rented an RV, fairly big one, that would sleep. I mean, it slept
12.
10,
It was
10.
huge.
10 or 12, yeah. And we
Huge.
decided that we would take all the kids and go to all the national parks in Utah. There are 5 national parks in Utah. Capitol Reef, well, I don't need to name them right now, but you can go look them at. They're called the Big 5. And
They're all sick.
Canyonlands, Zion's, Bryce Canyon, and I'm missing one. Arches. There you go.
Oh, that one's
It
really
was
cool.
it
Yeah.
was still one of my favorite trips, but towards the
Yeah.
end, everybody was getting sick of being on top of each other.
Yeah.
But
So
And,
yeah,
uh,
and we
it
did it in
was
like
g-
10 days.
It was pretty packed.
amazing.
Me and Javen shared that bed that probably couldn't have been bigger than a twin, or not a twin, a full.
A full size.
You guys
Full
slept in
size.
the same
It
bed.
was a full, and it was like above the
driver.
driver, and so it was kind of packed. We had to like scurry in there, and whoever got in second would like control when we got up, because I'm not gonna climb over the other one. You know what I mean? And then we have because I'm thinking of I get them mixed up the RV that
our
we have
trailer?
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was
There was a
a
bunk bed.
couch bed.
Gabe
Wasn't
and
there?
Trenton,
Yeah, there
I
was
think,
bunk beds.
Yeah. Gabe and Trenton
had
had
the
bunk
bunk
beds.
beds.
I think Rachel slept on the couch.
Junior slept with you guys. Maybe Tay did too, actually. I don't
Did
know.
They shared a bed. Oh, the table turned into
Oh,
a bed and they
yeah.
slept on the table.
They shared that, and Tay was pissed about that. Tay
Yeah.
always is pissed about sharing a bed with Junior, which is fair. Especially when he was younger, because he would wet the bed like once a week. And so you're playing Russian roulette.
Waking up in Junior's piss.
Yeah. That doesn't sound fun to me.
No, it's
It
not
was
fun.
literally like one of the biggest RVs that we could rent, though. So we're like,
It
it
was
sleeps
sick.
everybody, so we're going with it.
It was awesome. But that was one of those things where like we had an idea that we would go and have this experience, and it turned out so much better than we could have ever even imagined. Like, it's not something that we could have programmed. It just happened organically by just having everybody together and having so much fun.
So much time spent with each other.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, yeah, just having fun, and then also like the adversity, like. We had to plan. It was the first time I remember, like, we had to plan, first of all, that we would have enough food, that we would have enough gas. We were figuring out where we were going to park the RV every night, like
Yeah.
hookups, and then that you
Oh,
almost.
that was the Cherry Hill. Where is that the same, or was that a different? That was a
one.
different one. I
Yep.
was just
Different
thinking about
trip.
that because that was all right. Never mind. Sorry.
No, you're totally good. But it was, I think, the same time that we got stuck up a canyon
Yep.
that was closed off because of snow, and we
did?
had to try to turn the RV around and almost drove it off a cliff. You don't
That's
remember
true.
that?
Don't remember that.
Yeah.
I was probably asleep or playing. Oh, I had this game. I got to like level 1,000 and something on this game. It was just like
you guys played.
It was on my phone, and
Oh,
it was
okay.
literally just me. Like
Oh,
nobody
okay.
else was even doing it. But I remember playing that all day long because we would just drive, and it was the stupidest game. It was like some little stickman swing or something, and there were like, I don't know, 50 different levels, and they would just repeat. And I did them like 1,000 times.
That's funny.
Funny.
But yeah, I was probably doing that while you guys almost killed us.
No, you weren't, because I made everybody get out of the RV.
Yeah, he
because
did
I
make-
had to
Oh.
back it up and turn it, and so I made everybody get out because I thought if I lose this sucker, I don't want to lose a kid. So
Good idea.
He had
Yeah.
to drive all the tires like right up to the edge of the cliff, and I was like literally standing there, like telling him when to stop, like literally inches.
so I could turn it around. It was hairy.
It was intense.
It was intense.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Oh well,
We got
we
through it.
didn't die.
No,
So
we didn't die.
pretty much not even important.
Well, what are some of the other questions we've asked that got some?
We kind of went over what advice did we go over what advice you'd have for
Yeah, well,
Other
he
kids?
went on that,
Yeah,
but
kind of.
like with some intention, what would be advice that you would give to kids of divorce and blended family?
That's another good question. I don't know. I think a big one is giving it time and just not like, again, trying to force anything yourself, or like, I don't know, just don't be annoying. Cause if you're just trying to go in and be this guy, like your whatever new stepsibling, whatever it is, best friend or whatever, and they're just not having it, like, just don't be annoying about it, and just do your own thing, and it'll like if you just want it and like have intention towards it, then like I don't know. I don't know. It's hard.
No, that's
'Cause
good
That's-
advice.
do you know what
That
I'm
is really
saying?
good
Because
advice.
I don't know how to finish that sentence.
Well,
Maybe I started it weird.
no,
But
just kind of be okay with what is and be patient,
yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Like,
But not again. I want to stress that like that doesn't mean that you're just like, well, I'm gonna go do my own thing. They're gonna have to reach out to me if they were gonna be friends, because then you're just not making an effort. A relationship, regardless of friendship or romantic or whatever, it requires work from both people,
right.
and so you can't just sit around and expect it. But at the same time, you got to just kind of let it run its course, because even I keep coming back to my other side. Sorry,
That's all
but
right.
that's the one that I have more memories of actually trying to blend.
Yeah.
And so even like with my stepsister Callie, just recently, like we've both started, like she started skiing last year, and so we've both had that thing to connect upon. And so you find one thing, and it's skiing, and then that skiing conversation turns into talking about history because you both like history, and you just found that out, and then you go into something else, and then whatever, you have one good conversation, and instead of walking past each other like you're strangers in the house, you say, smile, and then it just goes from there. You know what I mean? And you don't have to rush anything, or go and make an like a big old scene of let's go out and hang out or whatever, but just start talking, start, you know, being yourself, talking about who you are, and they'll start talking about what they are, and you'll find something. I mean, I guess
Love
not
that.
100% of the time you won't find something, but
If you put forth an effort,
yeah,
it'll come.
or even
Yeah.
like it's not like me and Drake have anything in common other than we like playing video games and like cool people, like whatever. But he's a cool dude, and so you just talk. Like it's
Yeah.
not that hard,
Makes
and you'll
sense.
just
that.
gain something.
Yeah.
I really do. Like me and Drake are almost complete opposites. Drake is my other brother, and he's Javen, so he's in college now. He's bigger. He's totally introverted. And he won't get offended by me saying that.
Yeah.
And like he just loves doing his own thing, kind of a nerdy, IT type, doing his own thing. But really, like we both play video games, and so
So you
and so
connect
we
on
would
that.
play video games or talk about video games, and then you're
And from
chill.
there, your relationship
Yeah.
grew. Yeah.
Well,
That's really good.
It's not that
It's just finding one thing.
exactly,
Right?
Yeah.
and then it'll just
And that's
build
where
on
the,
that.
That's where the effort is.
Yes.
Is there one thing that we can connect
Mhm.
on? And if you don't find it right away, okay, well, we didn't figure it out then. We'll give
Yeah.
it another shot.
Yeah,
we say all the time 100% effort with 100% unattachment. Like you
cool.
give it effort,
Yeah, that's
but then
really
you're
cool.
not attached either. Like
That's
you're also 100% not
that's
attached
perfect.
to the
That's what
outcome.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That is
Love
what
it.
you're saying.
So I think something that you've been extremely like resilient with, and like I think the value that you would be able to bring someone else is the way that you've been able to navigate like your parents not being okay with each other.
Yeah.
Like what advice would you give a kid that might be dealing with that? Like might be having to hear one parent talking crap about their other
Or
parent
not
or
even just a
both
parent, an
or
entire family talk
right.
about an entire another family. Like it's
Right.
not. It's or and both sides. I'm not just saying.
Yeah.
Right. Like there was chatter from both, and
Right.
Yeah.
whatever. Doesn't matter who said more. It was coming from both sides.
Right.
Right.
Um.
So how did you deal
Yeah.
with that?
It sucked for a while, obviously, and um, I would try and get defensive with you, and like my mom would say things, or you would say things. I don't know how often or whatever it would happen, but I would try to defend both of you guys from whatever you're saying, or like even I'm gonna be sorry, mom. I'm not mad at you, but but I'm gonna be real. Like I was calling her on my way to pick up Joaquin to go to the gym today. That's just my friend. and and I said something because I didn't know if there was a trip plan because I didn't think there was. You would have told me, and
Right,
that's
for
what I
spring break.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's my spring break this week. And and I said something to my mom about because she was like, "Okay, what's the plan? Like, are you staying out there for whatever?" And I was like, "I don't really know. I think we're kind of just planning on chilling, and I have a car, and we're not going anywhere. I don't think." And I was like, "He would tell me if if you were going." And she was like, "Yeah, you'd hope." And I was like, "He would." Like, I don't know what. So, and I don't know what I'm trying to say from that experience, but just kind of like it's important to feel that way about here's what I'll say. Take everything your other parent or family or whatever says with a grain of salt. That is what I will say is the biggest thing because they're experiencing a totally different thing than you are.
Yeah.
Especially from my point of view where everybody else is saying you betrayed their family or you like she's hurt or whatever anybody is saying is like, well, he didn't betray me. Like I didn't. I was just a kid, and even if I wasn't just a kid, he still makes an effort for me. He didn't do anything to me directly or like something like that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mhm.
Because obviously, right, whatever it affected my loved ones, and so that's gonna affect me. But I think at the same time, it's important to just have your own image of your parent or your family or whatever it is that anything is talking about. Have that. And then, as long as you're solid on that, hear what other people have to say about it. Because as long as, and they can have an impact on that image, obviously. That's okay if they're telling you something and that's real. But a lot of the times, it's not 100% real. And there's truth behind everything. And so some of it is going to be, but you're going to have bias regardless. And I'm going to have bias myself. And I'm like, you just need to make sure again to just take everything not 100% truth and just think when somebody tells you that, say, that's interesting. I'll go ask them that. I'll go ask if that's real. Because for a long time, I didn't. And I would
Yeah.
hear things about you and be like, whoa, my dad's a scary dude. Right? Like to these guys,
Yeah.
like he's this, whatever spick dude. Or that my mom was dramatic or whatever. Like what I'm just,
Yeah.
thinking of things.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
love
really
that,
just
Sam.
you just have to, yeah,
It's
just have
so
your own thing and then after you've gotten through that, just be like, okay, that's what
I
you
love
think.
that. I think that's such amazing wisdom what you just said right there. Because you said, know who your parents are, have your own testimony to who your parents are,
Yeah,
and then take everything else with a grain of salt. I think that is so important.
for sure.
So important. Because I think a lot of kids also start to, when they start believing um, or taking it personal or internalizing what someone else might say or think about their parent at a certain level, um, it affects how they feel about them. They could because they take it on like I'm 50% that person, so that must reflect on me in some way. And if you can find the good in both your parents and know how amazing they are, as well as know what their weaknesses are, then you
Yeah,
can kind of filter everything else through that
yeah,
knowledge.
exactly. I think that's huge. And I was just thinking of something. But then wait, because like it's on that same of just being defensive about your parents is where that started. And then I had that thought and I was like, I gotta say that because I'm gonna forget it in a second. I think that's even more than what I'm saying. Because that grain of salt thing is huge, but then also what goes along with it is being defensive with your parent. Cause I'll hear things from whatever and be like, well, what are you like? Or like you're saying things about my dad as a person, like that he is this way, or anything, or like it like just saying that. And I think it's important not to blow things up or anything, because if you're hearing things from sides that haven't talked to my dad in like 10 years or,
Yeah,
somewhere around there. Yeah.
anybody who says they know me, if they don't know me
But they
right
don't,
now, they
yeah,
don't know me.
exactly. Because that's probably the biggest thing, especially with you, because your change in person or whatever is massive compared to anything else or anybody else. And so when people try to say things about your character or I mean, I'm sure I've gotten it from to my mom too. I'm just saying, like,
So are you saying that it's important to like use your voice and defend your other parent and
in
say something, or
in some cases it's that same, like, I I don't know, because in some cases, if it's just a little thing, like, sure, but if they're like kind of calling them out, I would think that same thing of like blowing it up, because it sucks hearing that, and it's gonna suck to hear that about anybody you love. But you got to understand that they have their own experience with that person that's completely different than yours. And so that's their own reality, that's their own feeling, and a lot of the times you're not going to change that.
yeah.
And so you just kind of got to step back and just be like, "Okay, bro." Like
There are
just
times though I have to say, because hearing you say like getting defensive, I will say we tried to be mindful to not talk bad about your mom or your
so
mom's
much. Yeah.
family, but we weren't perfect at it, and I've said that on
No,
other
neither
podcasts. Like we
neither
weren't
says for sure.
we were going through a lot of crap, and so there was a
Yeah.
lot of resentment and um anger, and we were dealing with a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
And I do remember a couple of times like us just I think we were talking about something that was going on. I just remember like when you and I don't remember any specific scenarios. I just remember knowing like when you guys started getting defensive, or one of you or Gabe or Rach would feel the need to have to like defend your mom,
Yeah.
it would let us know
Exactly. And that's what I was about to say
we
is it's important. Like, I don't know as much of defending and saying that's not how they are, right?
right.
Oh, not in their shot. My
That's
bad.
all
But
good.
that's not how they are. That's not how I feel about them. Okay, but that's how they feel.
Right.
And so it doesn't really matter what what you feel. Just letting them know when you're uncomfortable with what they're saying, or that that's just that just uncomfortable. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Well,
you're uncomfortable with that, and if they still don't stop, then it's really up to you. I mean, if you want to if you're trying to defend your parent, obviously you can do that, but I think sometimes it's just not worth it, because they're like, if they're still not respecting that you're uncomfortable with what they're saying right now, and they still just keep going, then
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's super important I think that's a really valid point and also super wise, because I think it's important for kids to have a voice. And I think it's okay for kids to say, hey, I need
for
you to
sure.
know that what you're saying right now is hurting me. Like,
Yeah.
I get that you feel
Yeah.
that way, but this is what
But
you're
that's
doing
somebody
to
I
me.
love,
Yeah,
and I don't care how you feel about them. I love them,
right.
and I care for them. Or maybe not, as strong as love,
And I think that's
it's
actually
I
hurting.
think
super
it's okay.
important.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're doing great, and this is great stuff. No, seriously, your wisdom is
It is.
like you keep blowing me away.
Thanks.
And
Same.
I appreciate it.
like just what you were just talking about, number one, like this idea of a child using their voice, because that's what you're saying is, hey, and you've actually done that with me.
Well, yeah,
You've
for
stood up to
sure.
me, and
For sure.
I have loved it when you've stood up to me.
And I think it's important to sometimes,
Yeah.
depending on the person or whatever the circumstances, because you don't just, you can't just let it slide. Right?
Well,
Like,
especially if it's really like causing you a lot of
yeah,
inner
if it's
turmoil.
hurting you.
Yeah.
That's the real big difference. Is it's when it starts to hurt you, I think it's totally cool to make your own judgment there, and and defend them or fire back if you really feel like it. Because if it's hurting you at that point, then step back, think about it, and then say, okay, this is not like I'm not okay with this. This is hurting me. But then if it's really, I think there's a difference between it hurting you and it like just
being their stuff that
yeah
really has
being
nothing to do with you.
yeah that
Yeah.
it's just between them two, and it's
Yeah.
not like they're personally insulting your parent or whoever they are. It's like or that they're like
Well, sometimes they are.
Well,
then that's okay
Yeah.
to use your
Right.
voice. If they are, then totally make your own judgment. You defend them if it's necessary, for sure. But I think a lot of the times, not a lot, just sometimes, it's important to just say, it's not worth it.
not
Yeah.
your monkey, not your
No.
circus type thing.
Yeah.
So you're like pick your battles is
Exactly.
what I'm hearing you
Yeah.
say. Like if it's something that you want to
Yeah,
Plant
you've
the
done
flag
that
on the
twice
hill.
now. Come on, man. I do this whole explanation, and then you just say it in like a saying. But yeah,
it's so
It's pick your
wise,
battles.
though. It's amazing.
Well, I think the other thing I want to tell you that I'm taking away from it, Sam, is, and this is to adults in a divorce situation. The best situation is that we don't, as adults, put our kids in that situation where they have to
No.
feel that need. That's the
and
best.
as a parent, I don't care how you parent. You don't want your kid to feel
Mm-mm.
sad or uncomfortable
No.
or anything.
No.
That's not, unless you're a psychopath. That's not
Right.
you're
And I
not
will
gonna
say-
you're not gonna want to cause your child harm.
Yeah. And I will say that we're not perfect. And we'll have
No, we haven't
sure.
been.
moments
haven't
of
been perfect at
weakness
it, for sure.
because we've intentionally had conversations that we didn't want to be that parent and we didn't want to do that. And we've still had to have you guys calling us out at times and say,
Sure.
hey, you're doing that thing that you say you
Yeah.
don't want to do.
Of course.
And we've been like, oh, shit. Okay. Well, yeah, we are. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's one, like, as a parent, do everything you can to not put your kid in that situation.
Yeah.
Remembering like these basic truths. That child is still 50% you, 50% your former
Mhm.
spouse. Like, and you guys loved each other when you started out this thing. Maybe not when the child was born, but you brought the child into the world, and that child deserves unconditional love,
Yep.
acceptance, and they don't need to know that that the other parent is worthy of judgment, because if the other parent is worthy of judgment and being cast out, that means the child is, because ultimately that's what it means.
Yeah.
As a child, you interpret that, oh, well, if my mom or dad or both of them are worthy of judgment or worthy of shame, then that means I must be.
Yeah.
And because that's really what it creates,
Sure.
is this uncertainty.
Because
And-
you are 50% them.
Right.
Mhm.
And so as parents and as grandparents and as aunts and uncles, that's something that we can be aware of. And if you're listening to this, like, be aware of that as a parent.
And I want to add to that same, sorry if you're done. Like if you are a parent and your kid is brave enough to speak up and say, hey, I don't like the way you're talking about my dad or my mom or anything, respect that.
Yeah.
Because like if you're just
Imagine
gonna
the
say,
courage it took.
yeah, exactly. Because like put your feelings aside for a sec and realize what they just said. Like it's gotten to the point that they felt the need to say that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's not like,
So it's not like you're just, making them uncomfy. You are upsetting them. Like
you're
this
hurting
is
them.
this is something they're not just going to forget about after you get out of the car. This is something they're going to be thinking about for the next couple months.
yeah,
Right.
that's
very
really
good
great
advice.
wisdom, Sam.
Thanks.
Really great wisdom. Man.
This has been awesome. Like I have to say, like
appreciate it.
I'm blown away
Thanks,
at like
guys.
how much you've absorbed and learned, and just how much you were able to share on this podcast. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any parting words? Are we getting ready to wrap up?
Yeah.
Tiff, is there
I
anything
was-
else you want to ask?
I was saying, I already said it, but I was just saying a minute ago, again, that pros and cons things of just like I just want to say that like blending families are not like, it's not like your life is ruined or it's not how it's supposed to be, regardless of what other people are saying, because it is what it is and it gets pretty great. So
That's awesome.
That's all.
I will always think of you, Sam, as this little, like, I remember you bringing over twofers every other weekend. Your little twofers.
Oh,
And
my little dinosaur. Yeah.
yeah, you remember
Oh,
twofers?
yeah. I still got him in my room. That thing is gross. Love twofers, but
You brought them
it's so
over
matted.
every single weekend, and you were just such a cute little kid. And
Did I really? I don't even remember
Yeah.
doing that. That makes sense.
you did.
Yeah.
Bring
You
them over.
you brought over a whole host of
Of
buddies.
blankies and
Another-
twofers
yeah,
and
twofers
yeah.
and, Sully at one point.
Oh
and,
yeah, I was big on and
yeah.
Adam and Jack. Those
Yeah.
were my two
Uh-huh.
Build-A-Bears.
Yeah.
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 So in a
Um,
lot of ways, like your dad says it about Taylin all the time. I mean, she was 10 months old, but you were 3-4 years old when I met you, and you know, a stepmom is not a mom and never replaces like your mom, but it's a different
but-
relationship. And
No,
this
yeah.
child, like I've been able to be a part of your life since you were
That's
3-4 years old.
That is a
and-
huge thing. What you're saying is that it's also really important to see that same thing. Like, of course, I love you and I love my mom, but you're not the same. You're
Right.
not the same role.
it's a
even.
completely different
It's
role.
not. It's not correlated. What I mean, I guess, kinda, because when you go out there, it's the other sibling's mom, and so they're gonna act like a mom. But it's not. That's really important. That's big. What you said is don't try to be comparing them or saying
trying to take the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to. Yeah.
Yeah.
because you're just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not
It
gonna
is-
happen.
it's
It's
a
different,
completely different
regardless of
relationship.
even with like you adopting Taylin now, like, but you are technically whatever, but you're not like biologically, and so
Yeah.
it's
Right.
it's still different. It's
It
not
never
ever
replaces
gonna be.
that. There's
No.
always that, like even for Taylin, she talks about it. There's always going to be a hole, like that
Yeah.
thing she missed, right? And so yeah, it's a completely different.
And that hole isn't gonna get
relationship.
completely filled by somebody else stepping in. It's not. And as much as that sucks for her, that hurts me to hear that, is that like there is a hole. Like it's not, because it's different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it just always will be. And it can help. It can, give that hole a Band-Aid or
Right.
wrap up that hole, but it's not gonna be gone.
Yeah, I think what it does is it helps her know that she's loved and wanted
Yep.
by somebody.
Yep.
You know, like somebody's willing to step in and be her dad. And right now that's what she needs.
Yeah. Well, this has been great, kiddo.
Thanks.
You said
guys.
some beautiful things,
you.
and I hope everybody listening enjoyed it. We keep hearing of more and more blended families,
Really.
and that are listening to it, and
That's so cool,
That's what we
actually.
hope for. We've been through all of this and a lot of trials and a lot of struggles, and if we can provide a little bit of direction, a little bit of hope, a little bit of maybe a little bit of humor, but a little bit of love, and along the way, then other families, we know what we're doing is not like that we're the only ones who can do it. It's available to everybody, and we've created a really cool. One of the things I've said is like our whole thing is with blended families, we're blended, not broken. Because I said you came from a broken home,
that's
And-
important.
and it's like there's nothing.
I know
broken
when you
about
said that,
this.
I kind of laughed. I don't know if you,
yeah.
but I was
Yeah.
like, broken is.
Yeah, no,
weird.
but
that's such a negative
It is a
connotation
total
to
negative
it,
thing, and I said
so-
it intentionally because
Yeah.
to set the
For
stage.
sure.
And because we're not broken, we're
Nope.
blended, and we love it, like a Jamba Juice
Oh,
blended.
I gotcha. There you go. It took me a second. I was like, where are you? Okay. Except Jamba is mid.
Roxbury, yeah.
So,
like-
yeah,
Oh,
Roxbury is
Roxbury.
way better.
Okay, like a Roxbury. Sorry, we don't even have a Jamba, and I love Roxbury. Sorry for that, Tracy Shaw. Well,
You might get some hate for that one.
That's right.
We might get some hate actually for
True.
calling out Jamba like that, but
it's
Yeah.
okay.
we'll see.
All right. Well, great. Thank you, Tiff.
Yeah, thank you.
This was
Thank
beautiful.
Sam.
Thank you, Sam. This
Thank
was
you.
wonderful.
That was
All right.
cool.
Thank you, guys. Till next time. This podcast is brought to you by the True Agency Real Estate Team. If you are looking to buy, sell, or especially right now, invest, by the way, you should be investing in real estate right now, contact us. Or if you're a real estate agent that is committed to personal growth, we need to talk. We are looking to grow our real estate team. So if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, or you're a real estate agent and you need growth, contact us. Also brought to you by Tru Studios. If you are in Tooele County or nearby, we record, edit, produce, distribute all parts of your podcast. We give you the space, the time, the expertise so that you can have your own podcast. All you have to do is show up, be there, and then we handle everything else. So if you've always wanted to have a podcast, don't know how to start, don't know how to do it, get a hold of us. Reach out. You can reach out to us at Tru Studios or Tru Conscious Couple or Tru Agency Team. Reach out to me, reach out to Tiffany, reach out to Trenton. All of us are available. We would love to help you get that out. Thank you so much.